Today, we're stopping by the FabRats shop. FabRats is one of our onX Offroad Build Challenge competitors, and he's building one of my favorite models of Jeeps, the Jeep Willys Wagon.
I picked this thing up from a guy I used to work with. His dad had aspirations of fixing this thing, and he'd done a bunch of work to it and never just got it finished. And I offered him 1,200 bucks and he took it. So I drove over and handed him the cash and brought it home.
FabRats started out as actually a demolition derby channel that quickly transitioned into a build channel with a little bit of off-road recovery mixed in for fun. Paul builds everything from rock crawlers to demolition derby cars to hot rods on his channel, and he's no stranger to spending time in the shop. And his Willys Wagon is definitely a testament to making do with what you got. When Paul brought the Willys Wagon to our stock vehicle competition, I was a little concerned because he called me ahead of time and asked if the stock vehicle had to A, run, and B, have seats, which I informed him that it would be a lot better if it did both of those things. So he quickly swapped in an engine out of another project and dropped in some boat seats into the interior just to take part in our stock vehicle competition. Unfortunately, he broke during the tug of war, but he was able to make it through all 3 gates in our rock crawling competition. I have a serious soft spot in my heart for the Willys Wagon. It's one of my favorite models of Jeeps. So when Paul walked me around to show me all the things he had done, I was pretty impressed that he was able to make this very small Jeep body fit onto this Ford Super Duty frame.
Willys really didn't want the body to fall off the frame on these things.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it?
14 body mounts.
Yeah, bonkers.
Which is insane.
Yep.
Most cars have like 6.
Yep.
We have taken the body off the frame. We've set it on a 2010 F250 frame, so it's got 1-ton running gear under it. Drivetrain wise, we've got a 5.3 LS power in it. We got a 4L60 transmission and a 241 transfer case in it. It's got Dana 60 in the front, and it's got the Ford with a electric locker in the back. It's got good parts where it needs them. We put 4-link in the rear of it, and we left the radius arm set up in the front. So we're thinking like 12-inch shocks. We've got 8.5 inches of travel in the bag.
Yeah.
And then it'll flop out when you twist, and it's gonna make a little noise because they're plastic but I think it'll be fine. We gotta build the rear bumper.
Yeah.
Then I gotta pull this cross member out and build the tank to set in there.
Skid plate for the tank and that.
Yep. So we had some pretty good plans when we went to our first competition. This thing was gonna be diesel powered, but budget has pretty much killed the diesel power situation. I can't come up with a diesel motor for the price that I need to put one in here. So that's why LS based is what we're doing, because it's cheap and reliable. So the game plan is, I'm gonna build a rock slider. We're gonna roll a piece of 2x3. So it fits this, and weld it to the frame, leave it floating off this.
Yeah.
Then we'll come off the bottom and boat side it.
Boat side it down.
This will be flat here, and we'll boat side to it.
So will you weld these 2 together?
Yep.
Make like a skid plate kind of thing? Yeah.
So today, when we work on this thing, we're gonna try to get brakes hanging under the dash. We got a power booster and a pedal setup. We're gonna try to bolt that into the dash and see if we can't make it look like it has brakes at least. So we've tried to make this thing pretty easy to work on because it's a trail rig and you don't want something that's super complicated. So if it breaks down on the trail, you want to be able to get to it and work on it. That's gonna locate this pretty much in the proper position right there. We'll have brakes. Today we'll have Sean. He's still here for a little while. He's gonna help me out. So Sean's good at everything. I can just tell him I need this done and he'll go for it and get it done. So he's my right-hand guy in the shop right now. right behind these two bolts, there is a bracket that holds the steering column in. We're really close to that, so he's got to grind a little notch out of it so it'll set in. This build actually has me a little nervous because things have been just falling into place with it really well, and that doesn't happen in my shop most of the time. So I've been waiting for like the really catastrophic thing to go wrong that I have to start over with or something, because honestly, the body just fit on the frame. Everything's gone together really well. We've made well, we haven't even made a giant list yet because there's so much left to do on this thing. We've kind of got the basic list. We need to make it run and drive. So it needs a fuel system, it needs a brake system. We got to build the rear bumper.
Yeah.
Then I got to pull this cross member out and build the tank to set in there.
For the tank and that.
Yep. I got a lot of tedious stuff. Like we cut the fender wells. Now I got to take and weld a piece in that all back together. I still got to cut the loops in the back.
Yeah.
But we're gaining, little at a time. The problem is the days are clicking away.
It happens.
And we're getting closer to when it needs to be done. So the pressure starts building a little more. When we welded the radiator in here, we didn't have the Ories pumped up, and we set a level on top of it, and it turns out the rig wasn't level. So now all I can see is the radiator setting sideways in this thing. So we gotta cut these mounts loose, roll it up, weld it back in level. We're halfway probably into this competition now. I've seen all the other builds and I'm feeling pretty good about my decision to pick the Willys. I think for the Overlander rock crawler that we were set out to build, I think we made the right choice. There's some cool rigs being built, but I think we got the edge. We've decided we're not gonna paint this thing. We're gonna polish it up and clean it up because after all, it is a trail rig. And if you spend a ton of money painting something, it makes you feel really bad when you ding it. I'm still gonna be sad if we ding the thing, but it's not gonna be the end of the world and I'm not gonna have to spend a bunch of money on it again. But we're gonna try to avoid that. That's gonna put that where we need it. But it's the name of building cars. It's a game of half inches. We're working, these guys are over here planning a vacation. I'm not sure Ian can hang around at my shop. He is costing me money currently.
Paul, if you're ever in a city and you're like, man, I wonder what a really good restaurant is to eat in this city, you just text me and I will give you a list.
Building this fan shout has been kind of a nightmare, but all important when you're going for an overlanding rig that is going to drive a long ways and needs to run cool. I've never built an overlander. I don't even know what one needs. I went on a reconnaissance mission last year in Moab with a bunch of overlanders, and I kind of learned a bunch of stuff about what I needed to do, so I got to buy a bunch of lights and something to cook on and some solar charging stuff of some sort. No one ever used that stuff when I was with them, but they all had it. So I think I gotta have all that stuff as well. So Ian kind of told me about the competition, what it's gonna entail, and it got me a little bit excited. I'm actually kind of happy that we went with the LS base motor. It's gonna do better in some of the competitions that he explained than I thought I was gonna do. So far, I'm not nervous about any of them. I think we're gonna do really good. Goes right back into the factory location where we had it. It's exactly the same on both, so I like it. It's good enough. Cool, it's built. Radiator is in it again for the second time, but it's actually in right this time, so That's our company motto. We do it nice because we do it twice.
And as always, when we visit an onX Build Challenge competitor, I ask them to show me one of their local trails and bring one of their rigs out to have some fun.
I'm out here on Hanging Trail. I've never done this trail, and Robbie said this is a good one, so invited me to come out. So we're here today. Ian's here. We're gonna see what Hanging Tree has to offer for us, and hopefully we don't break anything. It's a in and out. We're having a good day, so see how it goes.
Paul brought out his one-of-a-kind FJ45 pickup.
This is my 1964 FJ45. It's gonna do pretty good on this trail. I've watched some YouTube video of this, and the waterfall at the end may give us a little grief. It's slick, horsepower hill, so I've ran every trail in Utah with this thing, and it's done just fine. So I expect no different today. We'll see. You never know though. Every part has its time, and we'll see what we do.
Did you build that cup holder specifically to fit the Maverick? I love it.
Yep, I did.
So what did this start as? Just a body?
It was actually complete.
Oh, really?
15,000 original mile.
No.
I bought it from an old man. It was just had a tarp on it. This thing was super clean when I got it. I mean, it had been setting since 70.
Yeah. And so when you built it, you decided, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and build a rock crawler out of it?
I knew I've never seen one built as a rock crawler, and I'm like, you know, I really like the truck platform.
Yeah.
All right, we're here at the first waterfall. We're gonna go on the optional line on this one and try it. Although Robbie's making the easier line look really tough right now. So we'll see how this works.
That feels right. That feels good. That feels good. Oh. Yeah, I like that right there. I like that right there. I like that all day long. Maybe I like it. We're just falling off it now, that's the problem. Okay, front end is up basically. The left's gonna climb or no?
No.
Darn. One of the ways. Good save, Paul.
Spilled my drink, man. Gosh
not the
dang
Maverick
it.
soda. Not the Maverick soda. Little bump. Oh,
right.
Can't go back anymore. Hold on, we're putting the drink back in the cup holder. Things are getting serious. That was it. That was it. That was it. Just stay in it.
We'll go second this time.
Second gear. It wanted it so bad. It's right there. We're gonna try Robbie's line. Bump it from there. There we go. That's the bump spot. That feels like the bump spot.
Gosh dang it, right in my eyeball.
He got mud in his eyeball. It's because he made the mistake of looking out.
I did too. I got it right in my eye.
I stayed in. I went, I'm in.
I've been off-roading my whole life. I live in a town that has no stoplights and basically one paved road. So I like the kind of off-roading where you have an underbuilt rig on a trail that you probably shouldn't be on and you're trying to figure it out and get through it somehow. So my experience in the off-road world really comes into play when you're building these rigs, because you know what works and what doesn't work, and if you're gonna put something in that's too weak that's gonna break and you're gonna have to repair it on the trail. After you've done something a few times, you know what works and what doesn't, and we've put all the good parts in this Willys in the right place. It's gonna work.
So how's the onX build going?
It's going good. I'm a little nervous. I've never built anything that's just gone together like this one has.
Okay.
So I'm half nervous I'm gonna run into like a giant problem somewhere down the line.
You're waiting for the big stinger that's gonna jump up and get you. And so I've been watching, so you've got the Ford, still using the Ford frame, right?
Ford frame, it lined up perfect. It looks like it was built for it. We took 17 inches out of the middle and 4.5 feet off the back.
Off the back, yeah. And then you ditched the diesel and went LS?
Yep, 5.3 just because ease and budget.
I think you'll like it better.
We will.
I mean, the diesels are cool, but...
We wanted the diesel merely for the mileage, driving it down the road.
Yeah. But I think you'll be surprised the mileage you'll get with that LS in there.
I think
the
so.
truck's gonna be so light.
Yeah, we're putting a 40-gallon tank in it.
That's a big tank. I think
Then we can get some miles.
Yep.
Got a Suburban tank that's going in the back. My FJ is a 117-inch wheelbase. I put 1-ton running gear under it. It's got ORIs on all 4 corners. It's 4-linked on all 4 corners. It's got a 408 LS in it, so it's got enough power to get you where you need to go. This thing is the exact same wheelbase as my FJ. It's 117 inches. It works good. I know it'll go pretty much anywhere I need to take it, and we're just gonna go with that. We use onX pretty much every day around here. We do off-road recovery, and most of these people that we're pulling out, they're tourists. They don't even know. If you ask them for landmarks, they can't even tell you anything where they are. So we have them send us a pin. We convert their Google pin that they send us over into onX. Takes us straight to it on a trail that we know basically, and we use it. I've actually started using onX for my road maps. Instead of using Google Maps and other stuff, I just use onX, and it has all the roads in it. It'll take you wherever you need to go. So we use it a ton. So we've made it to the end of the trail. This is the last obstacle. It looks like a good one. I have my hopes that I'm gonna make it out of here without the winch. We'll soon find out how this goes. And no broken parts, so if we can go wheeling all day and not break anything, it's a good day. So when I first got here, my tactic was gonna be to slow crawl the waterfalls, but that proved to not work, and wheel speed was your friend. So to finally make out the end waterfall, I needed low range, high range in the doubler box, and 3rd gear. Yeah! I'm thankful that Robbie invited me up here and took me on this trail.
I have a soft spot for Paul's project because I am a huge Willys Wagon fan. I own one, I've built one. I think they are the most beautiful vehicle that Jeep ever built. And whenever anyone sees one, they just gravitate towards them because they are so cool. It's kind of a shame that Paul doesn't have the money in the budget to put a really nice paint job on that vehicle and spend a bunch of time on the bodywork, because it has all the original chrome in place and it could turn out looking really, really good. The patina looks great, don't get me wrong, and it's probably the right decision for a vehicle that's gonna see a bunch of trail miles, but a Willys Wagon that's got nice paint on it, they really do look super, super good. I am slightly concerned about Paul's rear suspension with those airbags. I get nervous with airbag suspension, especially on something that's gonna be on the trail a lot. What happens if a bag cuts or a line fails or something happens? But I do like his idea of having the hydraulic bump stops as almost like a secondary shock in the system. So if something does happen to the airbags, at least he has something to ride on to get out of the trail. Paul's budget, he's actually in a really good spot. We went through everything that he'd spent so far on our visit, and this is where he's at. 2 ORI shocks, $1,400, Barnes 4-link, 3-link kit, and he didn't even really use all of it, but that was $1,700 bucks. 39-inch tires and wheels came to $1,250. Airbags and the hydraulic bump, $700. The wagon he got for $1,000 because it was essentially just a shell. Ford frame and axle, $1,600 bucks. Engine transmission, $1,500. Shifter, $250. Winch, $500. Fuel tank, $150. Drive shafts, $600. His Hydro Boost brake system, $650 bucks. And his steering column, $195. Means he's essentially spent right around $11,500, which is really good. He's halfway through his budget, and like I said, he essentially has a rolling chassis that with just a little bit of wiring and plumbing, it could start and drive. He does have a lot of little things he's gonna have to deal with, obviously all the wiring and then any of the overland items he wants to add in there to make camping a lot more comfortable. But I think Paul and the FabRats crew are in a pretty good spot. You can vote for your favorite team by following the link on screen, and we'll see who's in the lead when we start our road trip this fall.